A plaintiff may sue a wrongdoer for causing damage to the plaintiff. However, if the plaintiff could have avoided some of that damage but didn't, how does that impact the claim? The Michigan Supreme Court addressed this question in Klanseck v. Anderson Sales and Service. Stephen Klanseck bought a new motorcycle from Anderson Sales and Service. Klanseck didn't have a motorcycle license and had about 13 hours of experience riding dirt bikes and motorcycles. As Klanseck was driving the motorcycle home, it fishtailed. Klanseck hit the brakes. The motorcycle crashed, injuring Klanseck, including his left arm. Klanseck developed chronic pain and numbness in his left arm and hand. This problem caused mental health issues and interfered with Klanseck's work as an auto mechanic. Klanseck's neurologist recommended extra testing to evaluate whether a herniated disc was contributing to the nerve issues. Klanseck declined the tests, choosing to wait to see whether his symptoms worsened. Klanseck learned that the motorcycle's front tire had a defect that had caused the tire to deflate and the motorcycle to fishtail. Klanseck sued Anderson and the motorcycle's manufacturer, American Honda Motor Company, for negligence and breach of implied warranties. Anderson and Honda presented evidence that if a motorcycle has a tire issue, the correct response is to coast to a stop without braking. They argued that Klanseck had contributed to the crash by braking. Klanseck testified that he knew not to brake for a tire problem, but he hadn't seen the deflated tire, and he'd assumed that a brand new motorcycle wouldn't have tire issues. The trial court proposed a set of jury instructions, and Klanseck objected to two of them. One was a damage mitigation instruction. It stated that if Klanseck had failed to mitigate his damages, the jury could reduce Klanseck's award by the amount of damages that Klanseck could have avoided. Klanseck argued that the instruction was improper because there was no evidence that he'd failed to mitigate his damages. The court overruled the objection, finding that failing to get all recommended medical testing could be viewed as failing to mitigate damages. The other challenged instruction applied the negligence per se doctrine. This instruction allowed the jury to use Klanseck's violation of the motorcycle license law to infer that Klanseck had driven negligently and contributed to the crash. Klanseck objected that negligence per se didn't apply to licensing violations. The court overruled the objection and gave both challenged instructions to the jury. The jury determined that Klanseck was 60% responsible for the accident, and Anderson and Honda were 40% responsible. Klanseck was awarded 40% of his damages. Klanseck appealed. The appellate court affirmed the judgment. Klanseck appealed to the Michigan Supreme Court.